Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a Ford Corsair build-off with the Diecast Mafia, and I didn't have a Corsair that was bad enough for restoration, so I bought myself a couple cars off eBay. There you can see them. The Corsair is above, and that's going to be our project for today. So here we got it on the rotisserie, a couple defects. This co-driver side B-bill looks strange, and the roof is bent too. Also the base is slightly bent, so the problem is that it's sitting way too low in the back, and I plan to do a proper custom on this one. And also make sure you check out all the other guys, which are Diecast, Matchbox Mark, Diecast Sheriff and Opa. Now there we got the Corsair in the shop. Now this one is not super bad, it's not super good. Now as you can see, it's sitting a little too low in the back, and that's because the base is slightly bent, because it should be at one level with the end of the body, but you can see it isn't, and there's also a bend in the roof. Don't ask me how you get such a result, but yeah, it's not the hardest one to fix. And now we're going to drill this guy apart. This guy wasn't the easiest one to get apart. It wasn't the most difficult one, but sorta, I think it didn't want to come apart. And now, as we are drilling this guy apart, I can tell you what I wanna do with this one. I wanna make this one into a Ford Corsair estate. And I chose that project because I really like the look of the Ford Corsair estate. The estate version is not so different from the normal version, or at least the taillights are the same, and you can really see how they took the saloon and converted it into an estate, so it's quite easy to convert. I mean easy, you don't have to change so many details, but just the roof and the C-pillar, of course. But first, let's get this guy apart. If he wants to, on a step like this, you always should be prepared to use a screwdriver or something like that, and don't do what I'm doing now, because you could really damage the tow hook, and you could also ruin the number plate. Don't ask me how I know. And yeah, but this should get apart. The only problem that will occur when I do this into an estate is that I will have to remove the back post, because of course the estate will have a different boot lid. I mean, every estate does. Now this transparency wasn't riveted in. Quite strange. I've seen some of these with the transparency riveted in, but this one hadn't. Kinda strange. There must be two variations. Yeah, this is the suspension plate. And the next piece is of course the interior. This is a red interior, but I don't wanna keep it a red interior. I will probably do a tan. I will do a tan interior. And yeah, this is the transparency. And the rear window is slightly cracked. And yeah, that's not the best case, but I will see what I can do about that. Probably not much, I think. Yeah, the nice thing about this one is that it's otherwise in not too bad shape. I mean, the paint is bad, but that's good. And there you can see there was an air bubble in the post when I drilled it out. You see that black thing there? That's the air bubble. And yes, and now this guy should go to the stripping process. Of course, you will have to think exactly where to cut before. because cutting is half of the work. If you cut clever, your result is gonna get way better with much less effort. Now I chose to cut the C-pillar in 2 parts because the C-pillar on the estate is very thin, and yeah, this is the finished result, and I keep the rest of the C-pillar. Now I'm going to cut out the rest of the bootlet. And I don't know if you have seen one of these in real life, but I think this should be a good base to start with. Now I will also have to cut those C-pillars that are left and bend them a little upwards, and the new D-pillar is going to be the half of the old C-pillar, which I will just glue on there. So there, like this, I don't have to glue too many small joints, and the car is gonna get more stable. And now I'm going to fit these green light wheels. Those are of a Datsun 510. And I chose these because these don't fit on any other model I have, because they are incredibly small. I had to make new axles for them because the original ones were too small, and so they slipped around in there. So now you can see I've bent the section of the C-pillar, and now I'm gluing this piece on there. I think that should probably get very nice. And now this is a piece of the old bootlet, and this is gonna get glued under there, so that yeah, you will know what I'm talking about when you see the picture of the real one. So now I'm just mixing up some 2-part epoxy, or no, this is actually 2-part glue made by Patex. I'm not sponsored by them, I just like their products. And yeah, this one fits really nice. I mean, I've once glued the hinge of a door using this, and it stayed strong even if I opened the door. So this glue is really the best option to glue metal. Now I'm gluing in a piece of styrene for the extension of the roof. And yeah, this is by far the best way to do this, I think, because like this I can sand it much better than if I would put a piece of alloy in there or something like that. So yeah, so I have less stress on the joints, although they will be quite strong. It's not that they are as strong as the bond in the metal itself. So I'm going to glue this piece of the old bootlet in there, so that it looks more realistic, because the real one had the estate bootlet like that too. Oh yeah, now it looks like an inverted spoiler. So there's everything glued, and now it's for the sanding and puttying, the most annoying part of the build, I think. But once the sanding and puttying is done, then comes the nice stuff, which is priming. Yeah, I sanded this with the Dremel, and styrene is very easy to sand with the Dremel. And if you do this with the Dremel, you put less stress on the parts, and the excess glue on the sides there I'm just cutting off with a knife, and that works quite well. And of course all this stuff will be puttied afterwards, literally all of it. I will put a lot of putty on there, and actually that's quite annoying because you always have to wait until the putty is dry, and that's probably the most annoying part. Now I've puttied enough. Now I'm going to put some very thick primer. It's almost like putty out of a rattle can on there, just on the roof, because if you put this one somewhere else, all the details are gonna go away, and then I'm sanding it so that it looks like this. And now I think there's the moment to prime, and this is how it looks like after priming. I really love this step. I really enjoyed this because you start seeing it all come together. It looks like one piece now again. And in the middle of the build I really thought, I don't think I'm gonna make it. So this is the paint job now. I chose to go with this light blue. And actually the first paint job went wrong because the pressure on my airbrush was too low, and so I wanted to thin my color, but I thinned it too much because the pressure was too low, and so it didn't flow very well, so I thinned it too much, and luckily I managed to find it out before I sprayed too much on there. So I got away with waiting a day and sanding a little afterwards and priming a little afterwards. And this is the finished paint job. I'm really happy about this one. This is one of the shiniest paint jobs I've ever done. With very little orange peel, I have to say. I really appreciate this paint job. And now for little details, I'm gonna paint chrome trim around all the windows, and yeah, I am pretty much going to paint in all the chrome trim the original thing had. And that was kind of a hard part because I can't strip this one again if I ruin it. So that's really annoying. I also cut the original back window to fit in there again. I know it's not perfect, but what can you do? I mean, it's still probably better than if I fill something around there. And this is the interior. It's kind of this flexi style plastic, really quite funny plastic. I've never seen such an interior on a car that you can easily bend, but it's really quite funny. And I'm going to glue just a little piece of styrene on there, and before I'm painting it, I'm scrubbing it off with this toothbrush and adjusting it because, yeah, I bent it a little too much, I think. And yeah, so I'm now going to paint this interior tan. Then I'm going to paint some of the final chrome trim. I'm going to use this Tamiya tan. I freshly acquired it the day I'm editing it, so I just did the reassembly. And I'm really happy about the car, how it turned out. And yeah, you always give this a shake or a stir with a toothpick or something like that. And another important thing, don't lose those transparent suspension parts you just saw me moving around there. Luckily I didn't lose it. Now I'm just using this cheap brush. For things like that you really can use a cheap brush. I only use, well, none of my brushes are expensive. I think my most expensive brush costs 1 or 2 euros, and those are my 2 detailing brushes. Although they are quite thick, I will have to get a thinner one, a similar to the one that Marty has. I would really like to get one of these one day. I will have to look for that. And yeah, it was really nice to paint in this interior because the color really looks nice. I like this interior color. I really like it. And now there we got the final result. I'm not gonna turn it around right now because, yeah, you can actually see my hair in the paint. So you can see the reflection of my hair in the paint. There you go. Yes, this is not a dog, this hair, my hair. Anyway, so this is what we started with. A little boring casting. Notice that B-pillar that was bent, and yeah, not much to look at really. And this is what it turned out like. Not perfectly perfect, but I really like it. I really like it. A very heavy modified custom, possibly the only Matchbox Ford Corsair estate in the world. I think those wheels really suit it, and yeah, those are from the Tokyo Torque Greenlight wheel and tire pack, and they were really so small. I couldn't mount this on any other car, not even on a Renault 5 or something like that. They were extremely small, and I'm really happy that I managed to put them on there, because they are perfect for this car, I think. So yeah, I made new windows for the back, and I really like it. So here you can see an original Corsair. I had the other Corsair for quite some time, but I never wanted to restore it because I think it's just in way too good shape, and it would be a shame to restore it, so I chose to buy the other one, and I like the estate. If you like it too, write me a comment, give the video a thumbs up, or just subscribe. If you would like to get rid of your old cars, you can of course contact me if you want to. And remember to check out all the other guys, which is Diecast Sheriff. He chose this build. He's a relatively new member to the Diecast Mafia. Of course also Opa, 2AH Diecast, and last but by no means least, Matchbox Mark, who was one of the first in the group. So yeah, next month will be pickup truck, and I don't want to spoil what I'm doing there yet, but I'm already excited now. So this is it for the 1st of August, and stay safe. Have a nice day, have a nice holiday wherever you are right now, and see you next time.